Okay, guys, so what we're dealing with today is we're given different information about the circle or the ellipse, and we have to come up with the equation another way than just given, obviously the first few, you're given enough information, but the next few you're not, so we're going to have to do something a little different. So, what we're going to do on the first view, we're just going to plug in our hk for, so let me go back over just to make sure, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared is our formula. And so we're going to take, for the circle, so we're going to take our hk, we're going to take our radius, and we're going to plug it in. Just be careful because they get plugged in with the opposite sign here. So x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals r squared, so this needs to be 16. So then on the next one we have our hk, which is 3, 0. And so when I plug in 3, I need to write it as x minus 3 squared plus, I can actually just write y squared. There's no need to write y minus 0. It's a little unnecessary. And then when I square 1/3 squared will turn into 1/9. No need to change that to a decimal because it's irrational. No, it's repeating. So we'll just leave it like a fraction. So then you're looking at number 3 and going, oh man, because of that radical right there. But don't worry. So our center will be x plus 5 here squared plus y plus 3 squared equals, now when I square this, okay, like that, I'm not only squaring the 3, but I'm squaring the square root of 2. Okay, so then what happens is like you're multiplying by itself. So that's, well, you can look at it like this. Or if you actually square this, that would be 9. And then square root of 2 times square root of 2 is just 2. So ultimately, what happens is you get 9 times 2, because square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So then you get 18. Okay, so then we look at our next one. We have, it says, given a circle with a center, HK, passing through the point 6, 2. So we don't know our radius. So if we look at our formula, x minus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals r squared. So I'm just missing my radius. So if I'm given a point and I'm just missing the radius, I wonder what I could do with that point. Plug it in. So I'm going to plug this in for x and y because it's on the circle. So it'll be 6 minus 3 squared plus 2 plus 4 squared equals r squared. So this is 3 squared, 6 squared equals r squared. So that's 9 plus 36. 9 plus 36 equals 45, and that's my r squared. There's no need to find the square root of that because in the formula it is squared. Squared on squared. It's kind of funny. It's a circle, but everything's squared in it. Bad joke? Bad joke? Alright, so maybe you already started on the next one. Hopefully. Maybe not. So this is our center HK. This is another point on the circle, so that'll be my XY I use. So it'll be x minus, I almost wrote h, 5 squared plus y minus k squared. So notice both of them are minuses because both of them are positive hk equals r squared. So this will be 3 squared. Careful here, this is negative 3 squared equals r squared. So that's 9 plus 9. Okay, and that'll give us 18 for my r squared. So then it's x minus 5. I plug my center back in, because the whole point is to get it in standard form. Okay, and so I got to plug my center back in, and I got to find my radius squared. Alright, so, again, different situation. We have 2 points on the circle. So not only are we missing the center, we're also missing the radius. But what we can do is, if these 2 points are on the circle, no matter what, then your center should be between these 2, meaning in the middle. Okay, no matter what, it's a circle, so they're all equal distance from the center. So what we do first is we do our midpoint. Our midpoint will help us find our center. Okay, and our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2. Don't roll your eyes. I know you're thinking you hate geometry. y1 plus y2 over 2. It's maybe more algebra. I don't know. So I take my 2 x values, which are 5 and 3. So 5 plus 3 over 2. 1 and negative 1. 1 plus negative 1 over 2. So it ends up happening, it turns into 8 over 2, 4. And then this one turns into 0 over 2, 0, not 2. So now I have my center. So we could do this a couple different ways. We could, we could use the distance formula. And the distance formula, we're trying to find the radius. Or, now that I'm thinking about it, I think if we have the center and we have a point on the circle, why not now work it the way we just did previously, right? So why not use this point, and this is our center, to do the same thing. So it'd be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 0, whatever, squared equals r squared. So what I could do is, I have this right now, I'm just going to plug in my xy right here. So 3 minus 4 squared plus negative 1 minus 0 squared equals r squared. And then we get negative 1 squared plus negative 1 squared equals r squared. Making sure all my work is right. So then we get 1 plus 1 equals r squared. So r squared equals 2. I didn't double check this. Hope all my work's right. Let's make sure. Just checking. Alright, so then we would write our equation, x minus 4 squared plus y squared equals 2. So, if you wanted to, you could try number 7 before I start beginning work on it. It's a lot like 6. Okay, hopefully at this point you're doing the midpoint formula. I hope. I'm checking something real quick. Sorry, just checking on something. All right, so what we do first, we start with our midpoint, so that's add the x's, divide by 2, add the y's, divide by 2, so that's 8 over 2, which is 4, and then negative 2 over 2, negative 1. I guess if all else fails, you could double check this by graphing these. And that's actually what I'm doing right now, just to double check. Okay, so then we would take our center. Sorry guys, I'm a little slower on this example. And then we could take one of our points and just plug it into the equation. So it'll be x minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals r squared. And then I could take my point, 2, 1 seems easy. 2 minus 4 squared plus 1 plus 1 squared equals r squared. So that's negative 2 squared plus 2 squared equals r squared. 4 plus 4 equals r squared. So r squared is 8. So x minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 8. Alright, so let's move on to the back. Okay, so on the back, we have some information about the ellipse. So the ellipse, it says sketch a picture, then write an equation. So I personally like to get what this looks like anyways. So 0, 0 is my center, so there's my HK. So I already know my equation. If it's an ellipse, is going to look like that. And its center 0, 0. Let me go back. Like that. Okay, and so what I do is here's my vertex. And if that's my center, then I know over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's also my vertex, or co-vertices. So if that's the vertex, that means this is describing the A. Because vertex is the main one, co-vertex is the backup one, the B. So the distance from the center to the vertex is always your A. So in this case, it's 5. Now notice what happened here, right? This is on the x-axis, and this distance is 5, and this A was 5. So when I plug it in, it should be underneath the x squared as 25, okay? Because it's the vertex. Co-vertex is B. So then we're given the focus. And our focus is always the distance from, let me get another pen. It's always from our center to, the C is the distance from the center to the focus. So this distance right here is C. So, okay, so you're telling me I know C is 3. And A is 5, and I have an equation for B, because that's all I'm missing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my A and C. So C is 3 squared equals 5 squared minus B squared. Okay, and I'm going to figure out what B squared is going to be, because B squared is going to end up going, right there. So we got 9 equals 25 minus B squared. If I subtract 25, I get 16. 16, well, negative 16 equals negative B squared. So then I know that, I don't know why I put a -1, but negative b squared. I know that b can't be negative because the negatives are going to cancel, so my b is 16. The key is knowing the vocabulary and what it's talking about and what they mean. So if we look at the next one, we're going to sketch the next one out. So the next one, we have vertices, aka co-vertices. Wow, it's real crooked. At 4, 3, and 4, 4, 9. Okay? That means that if your vertices are up and down, that means that, well, 1, it's not a 0, 0, so I know I'm going to have an HK in here. Okay, so I know that it's going to be a vertical ellipse because my vertices, the way that they're going, right? If my vertices are up and down, it means it's bigger underneath the Y. So what I need to do is figure out my center, because then I can figure out my A, and then we can go from there. Well, where will the center be? Well, it should be right in the middle, which if you sketch a picture, you can see it. You can also do what we did earlier with the circle and find the midpoint. So we can find the midpoint between these two, and that would be the center. But we can also tell, right, if this one's at 4, 3 and this one's at 4, 9, well, that distance between these two is 6. So the whole distance, but my center's going to be halfway. So if I go up 3, 3, my center will be at 4, 6. I can also do the midpoint formula. Sorry. -4. Somebody's mama. Okay, so now I'm missing the A and the B. Well, I know A because A goes from here to here is my A. So from 6 to 3. That's a distance of 3. So 3 squared is 9. So this distance is A. I knew it went here because it's up and down. Now it also gives me my focus at 4, 8. So if my A is from here to here, my focus is right. Let me get a different pen. Here's my focus. So from here to here is my little c. That's the center for big C. So my little c starts at 6 and goes up to 8. So my little c is 2. So now what I can do, if I have C and I have A is 3, that'll be 4 squared equals 3 squared minus B squared. So when I subtract 16, 16 equals 9, B squared. And then I subtract 9, I get, did I do something wrong? I'm making sure. Hang on. Whoa. I almost messed that one up. 2 squared is 4. Everybody see what I did there? Go figure, I made a mistake. Should have wrote this. Right? C squared, C is 2. So 4. I was going to end up with a negative B, which is why I knew I did something wrong. And this is 9, B squared. So that's how I knew. A, B, and C cannot be negative, so I was going to end up with a negative, so I did something wrong. So when I subtract 9, I get 5. Well, I'm -5, but it can't be negative because I divide by -1, so there is my final equation. All right, so the ones at the bottom, we'll do real quick because we're working on almost 20 minutes here. I want to give you some time to work. So we need a couple things. We need the center. So in this case, 1, 0. So we got x minus 1 squared plus y squared equals 1. The distance from here to here is my, it doesn't even matter if I know if it's A or B. If I count this and I'm going horizontally, it should go underneath x. So if I start here and go 1, 2, 3, 3 squared is 9. So it's on the x, it goes under x. If I go up and down, we got 1, 2, 2 squared is 4, because this is up and down. Easy as pie, which isn't a circle at all, so sorry about that. Or which isn't an ellipse at all. Blah. So then we have this one's center here. So that would be at 2, 5, 3.
Joshua Haddon, if you're in the building, your mom is waiting
Negative
up
2,
front.
3.
Joshua Haddon, if you're in the building, your mom is waiting up front.
Mama's about to get mad. If you could hear that announcement. Okay, so negative 2, 3 is my center. So this is my left and right. Ooh, I went too far. 1, 2. 2 squared is 4. Goes underneath x. 1, 2, 3, 4 is my y. So 16 goes underneath y. Alright, so it's your responsibility to complete the assignment. I will take a few questions tomorrow, but feel free to replay this again if you didn't quite get it. Or venture out and try other videos. Don't be afraid. I will see y'all on Tuesday.